In Lecture 5, I'm going to introduce transportation security roles and responsibilities. To be more specific, we're going to go through different organizations at different scales, international level, national level, and then maybe state and local level. These organizations, they're existing at different scales to, to help enforce transportation security. Okay, they have different roles and different responsibilities. Some of these responsibilities are implemented by laws. Some of them are weaker. They are enforced by simply international conventions. So let's just go through them. Firstly, let me show you this array of entities, okay? Wide array of entities is involved in the protection of transportation systems worldwide. So from global level to local level, or from global scale to local scale. So this word scale here is tricky. It has multiple meanings, but in geography, when we're talking about scale, it's either the tool you use in a map to address the ratio between map distance and real world distance, or it represents the extent of your study area or of your area of interest. Okay, so your area of interest could be the whole Earth, right? When you're trying to address climate change or even larger phenomenon, your research is usually carried out at global scale. If you're interested in, say, the land cover, spatial distribution uh, of land cover and land cover and land use. Maybe you're interested in a specific country, then your research scale is at country level or national level, or you're interested in the population distribution of a specific state, then state level or province level, or even at local level. So that's the meaning of scale. Okay, meanings of scale. And here, from global to local scale, we're talking about the extent of the area we're interested in. So at global level, worldwide, we have international organizations responsible for transportation securities. Okay, and at national level, we also have some. So at international level, IMO, International Maritime Organization, is very famous for, of course, literally maritime transportation security. International Civil Aviation Organization is responsible for aviation security, right? They both belong to the United Nations. Okay, so uh, you can say belong to or they're parts of United Nations. Okay, at a national level, Transportation Security Administration, which is TSA, obviously, it is a part of um, uh, United States federal government. To be more specific, TSA used to be a part of Department of Transportation, but now it is a part of Homeland Security. Okay, we also have FAA here in US, Federal Aviation Administration. So you can TSA and FAA, they are both transportation security uh, organizations or say agencies at US national level. Okay, of course, different countries, I believe, they also have national level agencies for their transportation security, but in this class, we'll focus on those agencies at, not at, within United States, okay? And for regional scale, there are also organizations, agencies responsible for transportation security, of course, regional transportation security, right? For example, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Obviously, it is only responsible for transportation, for example, ferries and trains and um, aviation security within the state of New York and New Jersey. Mm. Okay, at state level, we have an American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. Um, And another example, Ohio Department of Transportation, etc. And local level, we have Central Ohio Transit Authority, COTA, right? It is responsible for, at least as far as I know, they're responsible for the bus routes of Columbus. Obviously, it should also be responsible for all transit. I think mainly road transit like bus and other land transportation of Central Ohio instead of only Columbus, right? And we also have Columbus Airport Place. Okay, they are independent from Columbus Place. Okay, they are exclusively responsible for airport security of airports in Columbus. Okay, so let's start from international organizations, and the first one I'm going to introduce is IMO. It is the largest international organization for maritime transportation security. So it was established under United Nations UN in 1948, right after the Second World War. The headquarters is in London and has 170 member nations by 2014, I think. Okay, there are two main committees in IMO. The first one is Marine Environment Protection Community. Oh, sorry, not community, committee. And the second one is for Maritime Safety Committee. So the first one is for environment protection, and the second one is associated with maritime transportation. Okay, so there are three major instruments implemented by IMO for maritime security. The first one is called the Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Maritime Navigation. It has another name called SUA Convention. Okay, it's necessary to note that here this is only a convention, international convention. It's not a law from a specific country, which means that there is no specific force or forces to enforce this convention. Okay, it's not a law. It is not enforced by local law courts or police or other forces. Okay, the second one, the 2002 amendments to the International Convention for the Safety of Life and Sea. So this convention is called SOLAS. So the 2002 amendments is an important instrument of maritime security. It's amendments to SOLAS. The third one is the 2002 International Ship and Port Facility Security Code. It's famous by another name. It's called ISPS code. Okay, and ISPS code is also a part of SOLAS. Okay, so now let's just go through this very important code first, ISPS code. So security obligations and responsibilities for member governments by SOLAS and ISPS. So ISPS was created by IMO, but the responsibilities are distributed to local governments, national governments. So if you're a member country, a member nation of IMO, your government should follow SOLAS and ISPS. Okay, so these responsibilities include set security levels for and provide information to ships and port facilities and issue international ship security certificates to ships flying their flag. Okay, and companies and ships need to follow ISPS code, comply with the security requirements of the port they enter, designate, and also designate security officers. Okay, so it means that all those member governments, they need to set security levels for their ports and their ships, and also issue international ship security certificates. So there is a serious problem, very important problem here, or you can say there is a weakness here for SOLAS and ISPS. I will leave this question to you. What is the possible weakness here? Okay, when you are distributing, when you are giving responsibilities to all member countries. Okay, and here is a map showing you the distribution of IMO members by 2014. You can see most countries around the world, they are part of this organization, which means that they're all responsible for implementing ISPS code. Okay, so let's just examine this ISPS code more specifically. And the government approved security plans for port facilities and assigning security officers. And also port personnel must be trained for security plans and participate periodic security drills. And for this code, the first part of this code is a security level system. Okay, so there are 3 levels. The lowest one is called normal, the level at which ships and port facilities normally operate. So you can see the description here is very blurry. It doesn't provide any examples to define normal, the level, the specific level at which ships and port facilities can normally operate. So different countries, when they are trying to define these different levels, they have their own principles. Okay, because like I mentioned before, these responsibilities, they are for national governments. So security level 1 means the level for which minimum appropriate protective security measures shall be maintained at all times. But what is the first level? For example, there is a specific piece of intelligence related to the security of a port. Okay, and when we're looking at this specific piece of intelligence, country A may think, okay, this is not very serious in my country, so the security level for this port should stay level 1. But for another country, maybe a bigger country, a country might be attacked, more likely attacked by terrorists, for example, United States. And when country B, for example, United States, receive the same piece of intelligence, maybe this country will say, okay, this piece of intelligence is important to us, and the security level of this port should be set to level 2 instead of level 1. So here comes the conflict, right? So for country A, this port should stay level 1 for security level, but for country B, this port, the security level of this port should be raised from level 1 to level 2. Okay, so there is always this inconsistency of definition of different security levels. That's actually the weakness I mentioned before. ISPS code, it is established by IMO. But when we're talking about implementing this specific code, this specific security level system, it depends on different countries. Okay, which means that the quality of implementation differs from one country to another. Because for country 1, there is nothing, for country A, like I mentioned before, there is nothing to worry about. But for country B, for example, US, right? Terrorist attacks, they're more likely to happen in a big country like US or even China or even Russia. So they are more sensitive, which means that the implementation of ISPS code is more strict. The quality is higher. So when a shape is moving from one country to another, okay, so which implementation should this shape follow? Okay, the implementation of ISPS code from country A or country B. Okay, so this is the weakness of this system because no specific country has a juridical authority over this code around the world. So when a shape enters different countries, it has to follow the specific implementation of ISPS code at that or within that specific country. Okay, so let's get back to this security level systems. So second level, the level applying for as long as there is a high latent risk of a security incident. So security level 2 means the level for which appropriate additional protective security measures shall be maintained for a period of time as a result of high latent risk of a security incident. Okay, and the highest level is level 3. Okay, exceptional, the level of applying for the period of time when there is probable or imminent risk of a security incident. Okay, means the level for which further specific protective security measures shall be maintained for a limited period of time when a security incident is probable or imminent, although it may not be possible to identify the specific target. Okay, so for each member country of IMO, they have to set their security levels for maritime transportation. And also, these governments, they're also responsible for making security plans for ships and ports. And these plans, the content of them might differ from one country to another. And actually, of course, there is different from one country to another. Because again, national governments, they are responsible for making their own security plans. But no matter the specific content of a plan, several factors should be considered, or they should all include these 10 points. The first one, the plan, the security plan should address measures to prevent weapons, dangerous substances on board the ship. Okay. Secondly, the plan must include procedures in case of security threats, and also security drills and exercises. How often should a port or should a ship to carry out drills and exercises? And what's the specific content of drills and exercises? They should be addressed in this security plan. Okay, and also security equipment on board and its maintenance. You have to make sure that this equipment can be used in case of emergency. They must be in good condition. Okay. 5, ship security officer and company security officer with contact details. ISPS code requires that there must be a security officer from the local government and a security officer from the company, logistic company, or the company owns the ship, or the company owns the port. Okay, one security officer from the government, another one from the company. Okay, and also restricted areas and measures to prevent unauthorized access to these areas. There are sensitive areas in a port. For example, the areas where you can find fuel tanks, right, on a shape, engine room, or the bridge of the shape. Okay, they are restricted areas, and you should have measures to prevent unauthorized people to access these areas. Because if you control them, you control the security of the port or of the ship, right? And number 7, security duties of shipboard personnel and the procedures for reporting security incidents if there is piracy or if there are pirates trying to board your ship. What's the procedure to report the current emergency, the current incident? Okay, and SSAS location and testing operating procedures. SSAS is Shape Safety Alert System. I would use a figure to tell you, to show you the specific procedure or the specific structure of this alert system. But you should know it's a system to report the current emergency. Okay, the plan should address the location of SSAS system on the ship or in the port, and you should test this system regularly and tell the personnel, train the personnel on how to use the SSAS. Okay, and also the plan should also include the procedure for review and updating of SSP, Ship Security Plan. Okay, because this plan should be reviewed and updated periodically. For a country who who take maritime security very seriously, maybe every 2 years or every 3 years, right? There should be a review and updating. And for maybe small countries or countries do not care about maritime security very much, maybe every 5 years, every 10 years, right? This is also, like I mentioned before, a weakness of ISPS code. Okay, it is implemented differently in different countries. Okay, and here is a scan of International Ship Security Certificate. Okay, it is issued. It is required by ISPS code, but it is issued by local government, right? Under the authority of the government of maybe the United States, right? And by somebody. And of course, here is a profile of the shape, right? The name of the shape, distinctive number of letters, and the port of registry. So this certificate should be updated regularly to make sure that this shape is following ISPS code. Okay. And yes, as I mentioned before, here is a figure, a graph showing you the specific structure of Ship Security Alert System, SSAS. Okay, so you can say its location on the ship should be addressed because you should know the position or the location of this red button. So if there is pirate attack, so the personnel, the crew can find this button and press it, and there will be a signal sent to the satellite, and the satellite will transfer the signal to a ground station, and the signal again will be sent from the ground station to a specific government flag state, right? If it is the ship from United States, and the United States government should know that this ship has been attacked, right? And also the owner of the ship, and also the management company, and then together they can make decision on how to rescue or how to respond to this attack, right? So national law enforcement agency then may be sending security assistance for this shape. Okay, so this is just like a alert system, local alert system you can find in any small shops in a city, right? If the shop is robber, right? And the owner of the shop or cashier can just press a button under the table. So the local police is noticed. So they can send people to help. Right? So this is SSAS. It's an alert system for shape security. Okay. Okay. So IMO supported security system presents a significant expansion and improvement over the pre-911 security program, but still imposes significant quality variation. So you should know that ISPS code is actually put in place as a response to 911 attack by IMO. So again, crisis driven. Before 9/11, there was no ISPS code from IMO. Okay. So problems here. Okay. IMO international conventions are non-legal procedural agreements that are not enforced by law courts. I've mentioned this many times. There is no UN place or UN army, right? So eventually, all those countries, they are responsible for their security levels of ports and ships. They're responsible for security plans for ports and ships. Although these plans and these security levels, they're all following ISPS codes, but the quality of implementation varies dramatically from one country to another. Okay, and the second problem here is priority of maritime security varies from one country to another. Like I mentioned before, some countries, they take maritime security seriously, but not others. Okay, so the budget varies from one country to another. Attention on maritime security also varies from one country to another. Okay, so here you can see the importance of a unified or uniform policy at different scales. I mean, at international scales, at global scale, it's not possible to just create a specific police force to enforce ISPS code because that's just too complex. And no country will be willing to do this, right? But later this semester, when we're talking about transportation security policies within United States, you will say that it's very important to have unified agencies and policies at federal level in US, okay, at federal level to make sure that the implementation has the same quality across the country. That's very important. Okay, and also possible sovereignty issues and security concerns. You say, how is this possible? Sovereignty issues? Yes, because some countries, they consider their shapes as a part of their sovereignty. And when another country is trying to board the shape and do security check because the shape is in that country, the country of this shape will just deny that because it will consider the boarding as a violation of sovereignty because the shape is also a part of their sovereignty. Okay, and maybe different countries, they have different laws. Even they do not consider their shapes as a part of sovereignty. Boarding their shape must follow their own laws. But for the country who is trying to board the shape, say the police force, they have to follow the laws of their own country. There could be conflict, right? And also implementation of the code leads to extra workloads to shape crews and port workers. There will be an increase of costs, right? You have to train these workers and crews, right? You have to pay them. For extra requirements. You have to even employ more people to implement ISPS code. So a lot of problems are there when we're talking about implementing an international convention. Okay. If it is only something, if it is a law from that specific country, then it's your own law. Your government can decide if you want to follow this law, and the government should do that, should put resources into the training of personnel, right? Into the enhancement of security instruments. But this is international law, right? My government is poor. I'm a small country. You cannot force me to raise my level of implementation quality of ISPS code, right? So it's very complex. Okay, it's very complex. So the next organization I want to introduce here is called World Customs Organization. Okay, just as its name says, it's just a organization for customs from all over the world, right? It has a framework called SAFE, okay, SAFE framework of standards to secure and facilitate global trade for supply chain security and facilitation. Okay, the purpose, firstly, harmonizes national requirements on information exchange of advanced electronic cargo. The exchange of information or intelligence among different countries is very important for transportation security systems, especially international transportation systems. And it is a huge issue because intelligence is actually a property of a country, and it is very sensitive to the security of a country. So exchanging different types of intelligence is always tricky. Okay, and also requires members to maintain a consistent risk management system. Okay, and promotes outbound inspection of high risk cargo by customs administration, and advocates rewards to companies perform well on supply chain security practices. Okay, and WCAO was established in 1952. Okay, international body composed of the customs authorities from 179 nations. So again, most countries around the world, they are part of WCAO. Okay, I'll just stop here and I will use another video to finish the first part of this lecture. Okay, thank you.